magpies will swoop people.
Crunch time!
Every year there are, people hospitalised because of being hit by magpies. It's male magpies that swoop. About 10% of those male magpies will actually swoop people.
I'm going!
10% of millions can still be quite a lot of incidents. I think for all their fearsome reputation, there's an awful lot to love about the Australian magpie. The Australian magpie is, if not the most common bird in Australia numerically, it's certainly one of the most widespread. A lot of Australian native birds have really struggled since the arrival of Europeans. But magpies, they've seemed to do pretty well out of the situation.
Our magpie is named after the Eurasian magpie, which kind of sucks given that they're not from Eurasia. In Canberra, they're called Garrawang in the Ngunnawal language, and they provide the soundtrack for birder Tobias Hayashi as he looks for less common native birds to photograph.
I started birdwatching when I was a young kid. Got some friarbirds. Such weird birds. I think if you think of the Australian sounds of the bush, you think of things like magpies. Just sitting there enjoying the morning sun. They're so iconic. They're part of the sound of Australia, if you like. I think it's such a complex sound. It's such a beautiful sound. I don't think there's any other bird which sounds like a magpie.
Instead of having a larynx, like in humans and mammals, birds, they have a thing called a syrinx, which has two tubes coming up through the throat. When a magpie is singing, it has like a bass track going on, and then it has the higher melody going over the top. And what they have are these little phrases that they can mix up. A lot of magpie calls that you hear, they're often the female, and usually they'll sing together. It's more of a pair bonding exercise where they learn their song together and they practice their song together. It's essentially saying, back off, we're going to be very, very capable of defending this territory.
I was out photographing birds and I came across a magpie which had a young thornbill in its beak and taken that to give to its young. Some magpies swoop because they perceive you to be a threat to their young, which is understandable. It's kind of like a person who sometimes behaves a bit like a dick. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person.
Wouldn't any parent do the same? Who and what magpie swoop is actually an individual thing based on their experience. Say if one Maggie has had sticks and stones thrown at it by primary school boys, they might swoop all primary school kids and, unfortunately, any person of short stature. Another might let a pedestrian walking by themselves go by, but swoop if that same person later takes their dog for a walk.
Studies have shown that they can recognise up to about 100 individual humans. We think that's largely due to face recognition because of some of the experiments they've done with magpies swooping and people wearing masks. There seems to be a tendency for a lot of magpie attacks to be on cyclists.
Oh, shit!
They move through the territory really quickly, so they have that sort of almost ingrained that somebody moving fast into their territory is a potential threat.
That's scary!
And interestingly, I've heard some anecdotal observations that some magpies only swoop cyclists with helmets on. Once you take your helmet off, those individual magpies don't swoop you. Not that I'm recommending that you ride around with your helmet off.
The best thing is to stop and walk your bike out of the swooping zone. Backyard feeding is also said to be one way to stop individual magpies swooping you in your neighbourhood, but you've got to do your research on what to feed them. The backyard is where many Australians form friendships with magpies, just like Danielle from Geelong, aka the Magpie Whisperer. She has 16 local magpie mates who she can tell apart and has given each of them names.
Due to my anxiety, I avoid human interaction as much as possible. I've just always preferred the company of birds than to people. I wanted to take it that one step further and become a wildlife carer, not only so I could learn more about them, but I also wanted to help give back to the magpies because they've helped me through quite a lot of my own personal struggles. I've always been very self-conscious about the sound of my own voice, and it's only this year that I've begun to really start to use it, like an interview like this, for example. So in a sense, the magpies have given me my voice and courage to speak up. To be quite honest, I'm not sure where I'd be if it wasn't for the magpies. They've given me a purpose in life, a reason to continue to get out of bed each morning. I really can't imagine a life without these birds. They're all I've got and they're all I need.
Birdsong is the soundtrack to the land that we grew up in, and really the Song of the Magpie is the lead solo of that soundtrack.
You've got the magpie, you've got the cockatoo, you've got the kookaburra, which is just about to start up calling now. And when you go overseas and then you come back to Australia and you hear those sounds, it really makes you feel like you're at home.
Thanks for watching. Hey, if you love birds and dig your citizen science, you can get involved with BirdLife Australia's Aussie Backyard Bird Count, happening again from October 19 to 25. And a quick shout to our sponsor, FSW Shoes. They're a family-run business and they ship right around Australia. Head to fswshoes.com.au and we'll see you next Good Shout Friday.